Hi, it's Saturday, about 5:46 p.m. I have been asleep since probably 8 or 9 a.m. Just woke up about 30 minutes ago. Can't you tell? I thought I'd make a video. I'm sort of on a roll, and catch you up on what happened yesterday. Yesterday was Friday. Jackie had a huge order to finish of 2 sets of flags, and the day before she had finished 2 sets of uniforms for a client who has 2 groups, and their first show was today. Is today, I guess. So she finished those, thankfully, in time, and went with me to my rehearsal and football game. It was sort of the first time we got to see the entire group in the stadium. We got to rehearse in the stadium. Our field is sort of a dust bowl that's full of rocks. If you can imagine trying to march and dance and spin on a field that is almost entirely dust and rocks. It's pretty dangerous. But they're not doing anything huge or, deathly. They're not rolling. Their uniforms are white, so can't roll. It's kind of funny. Both Jackie and I ended up doing guard uniforms. Both of our guards this year are wearing white. I've never had a guard wear white, so I'm actually super excited about it. Anyway, it's mostly about guard, but not really, sort of. So we left, but on the way, we both had counseling appointments on the way out, because it's sort of towards where we were going, so we both went to our counseling appointments, which was kind of funny. And trying to schedule at the same time, we were like texting each other back and forth. It just didn't work, so we just did our own thing. Yeah, it was fun. Talked about a lot of stuff, but didn't really get anywhere. Realized that we sort of have to keep digging at things. Maybe more so from her perspective than from mine, I guess. I think she felt a bit ill-prepared for what we talked about. But anyway. So we headed to rehearsal, finished inking or marking on these flags. One of the shows is a 4 seasons, like the 4 seasons, and they had a leaf flag and then a flag with a ladybug, and then they were reusing 2 sets of flags. There are pictures of me and Jackie somewhere, probably on her computer, in the actual uniforms. One show is a circus show of the 2 groups that we made for this client, so we had to take pictures of the uniforms. It's the first time I've been in velvet in a while. It was a bit disturbing, but I'm sure it looked alright. And rehearsal went well, but it was really frustrating because my kids just aren't. I was just kind of terrified. I mean, it's like, it's like 8 days from our first show, and I was just like, I don't know what to do for them. Like, I could keep making comments, but they're just remediations. I'm just saying the same things over and over and over, because it's not new. The stuff they're doing is not new. For, I would say 95% of it wasn't new. They learned 4 sets this week, and they just weren't trying. They weren't fighting. They weren't performing, and I was just really bummed, like, after rehearsal, and we had dinner, and was just sort of not really looking forward to the game, and tired and ready to be home, and Jackie was tired, and I felt really awful for dragging her there, because, if I can't help my kids as talented as she is, I absolutely know that most of what she does can't help them. We did review after dinner some of the new stuff, and I'm glad she was there to do that, because I was just so defeated that I didn't really care, because I felt like if I put in the work, they weren't going to put in the work because they didn't know it, and it was too much to reteach. But I don't know that really was the case, but they don't get a lot of sectional time, and hopefully we'll remedy that this week. So we went up for second quarter, and we warmed up. It was a pretty good warm-up. They always impress me in warm up, and it sort of was a large sign of the show. We were sort of rushed. It's sort of scary at a football game because I take them. They cheer for the first quarter, and then the second quarter we go warm up, and you never know. You get 12 minutes on a clock, but it's a football game, so it's not like you can time it and go, okay, I've got 12 minutes. It could be a 15-minute quarter. It could be a 30-minute quarter. You know, you just have no idea. And last night was a little quick, but it wasn't super bad. I was afraid it was going to affect them. And then when they set up, there was a problem with, we have 2 mics and a keyboard. We had to hook them up to the power supply, and the keyboard wasn't quite working, so they had to stand there for a minute. And I thought, oh shit, this is going to flip them out. You know, that's going to be it. I start off with one, and I didn't get up top. I had a friend take my camera up to record. And I'm standing down there, and I'm like pacing, because that's what I do. I think it's actually on the video. You can see me pacing around. I didn't want to say anything to Jackie, and I look over, and she's kind of smiling, and I'm like, okay, well, we shouldn't say anything yet. It's only one. They don't actually spin, they just dance. So we go into 2, and this big hit that's been a fucking disaster since they've learned it at band camp just has not locked in. And that locks in, and I'm like, well, hell. But I thought, oh, well, the new stuff is coming up, and they could blow it. You know, they could just entirely blow it. That could be the best moment of the show. But I'm not going to lose hope. They're definitely here. They're definitely present tonight. And so, the singers come up, and the mic stand falls over because they set their flag down funny. And I was like, oh, crap, that's going to flip them out. You could tell they were freaked out a little, but they did all right. They need to work with the chorus teacher on that sort of. They overshoot that last note. They go from their chest to their head. Anyway, I know that helps you not at all, but they're singing in Latin, and they like to sing like opera, and opera is wonderful, but it doesn't sound good when you just heard horns. It sounds sort of distracting. So they need to sound more like horns, which is a strange thing to want from a human voice, especially females. But they've worked on it quite a bit, and they just need some polishing before the first show, so it doesn't hurt us musically. And that feature locked in. You know, the rest of my kids that were spinning, and I'm like, well, hell, they're listening. They hear the music. What the hell? And so I'm sort of holding my breath because I know the new stuff is coming up. I know it's coming up, and I mean, it's sort of like, for me, making or breaking it. And hell, if it didn't lock in more than it has ever locked in. So I'm like, what the hell is this? And they're performing. This is not my color guard. This is some other color guard that decided to show up because they have adrenaline pumping through their veins. So we go on to 3. And, it's our ballad, so it's nice and slow, and I think, well, who knows? And we rewrote musically this section of 3/4 musically. The timing is different. Instead of counting in 4, you count it in 3. Anyway, and it's a big standstill moment, and we needed to rewrite it. We've needed to rewrite it for quite some time because we upped the tempo of 3, and now that we've upped the tempo, the stuff they were doing is a little fast. Hell, if that guard did not make that the most musical feature I've ever seen it. Which is crazy because it's literally been written to different music. The music has now been rewritten. And the tempo has been sped up. And hell, if that wasn't musical. And then we have the staging thing. And I fixed one thing in rehearsal, and they hadn't tried it. And I thought, oh, they're going to forget it. 95% of them remembered it. And heck, if it didn't fix everything. That one thing, and they did it, and it fixed it. Now, you would think I would be elated by this performance, but instead, as things go on, I am just getting more and more angry. Because when we first had band camp, I warned them about my pet peeves. And I said, my biggest pet peeve isn't something small, it's something that's really important to me, and that's if you don't rehearse like you perform, and then you go out and you suddenly remember what it's like to have adrenaline, and you have these great runs, but I can't get anywhere with you in rehearsal. So I was mad, because I'd warned them about this. And they're a young guard, and I could tell that, for the most part, they'd had a good run. And they'd spiraled up, and the band director talked, and I couldn't hear her because it's a football game. And I said, we're going to go over here, we need to talk. Because I told her, I said, I'm just upset, because they don't rehearse like this. And she kind of agreed. And I look at them, and I say, go over there, we need to have church. Now, anybody else who's ever been in color guard understands what church is. And I say church, and I realize they're still smiling, and I realize it's time for Bad Cop. Bad Cop has to come out. They've never seen me yell. And I didn't yell, but hell if I wasn't scary. So, Jackie's with me, and she's sort of standing off the side, because I know she doesn't really want to say anything to them. Because I'm pretty much going to say, you know, we've agreed, we already talked as we walk over. And they're all sort of smiling, and then they see my face, and they all sort of turn white. And I sort of, we had Catholic church, well, Episcopalian. It wasn't so guilt-inducing, but I said, you know, what you did out there is great. But it's also really sad, because that's not my color guard. At least not the color guard I've been dealing with all week. That's some other guard that shows up when you get adrenaline in your system. I said, and it's great you had this run a week before, you know, your first show. But just think, if you rehearsed like that, we could actually make the show better than what it was tonight. I said, tonight wasn't your real test. This coming week is your test. Can you rehearse the way you just performed? And I sort of left it. I would just, and then we had to leave after the game, and we had headed home, and I'm still sort of pissed. And I'm glad I don't have to see them until Tuesday, and we have a sectional on Wednesday, which should be very helpful. But I'm still mad. I'm just on fire mad at them. Because it proves to me that they are indeed the talented guard that I saw at band camp. And that talented guard hasn't gone away, but I haven't seen them in 2 months. Almost. So it's very frustrating. Because there's nothing I've been able to do to bring that guard out, and it makes me feel like a failure as an instructor. And in some ways it makes me feel good, because it makes me know, okay, well, that stuff is there. But it's sort of just kind of a predicament. Anyway, everybody else is at a show this weekend except for me. I'm home. Jackie's at a show for the first time with her kids. We go out next weekend. So, yeah. I just thought I'd make a video about this because I think it's sort of important to document my process and their process. Anyway, I've still got this ear gunk. I cannot hear. It's awful. I tried to stay awake last night, and I'm like trying to sing in the car to stay awake, which I usually don't do in front of people, but I had to stay awake. And I can't hear myself like sing, which is really bad. So hopefully that gets better by resting tonight. I've got some congestion now. Yeah, hopefully it goes away. Anyway, I hope everybody has a good weekend. If you made it this far, congratulations. You officially know more about my color guard than you ever needed to. Hopefully those of you that I know will get a chance to see them sometime this season. Hopefully you'll get a chance to see the guard I saw last night. Alright, take care.